like you've alluded to, you've been in the area for 3 decades now. Talk about what you've seen in the evolution of Stevens sports over that time and just some moments or people that have stood out to you.
I think the biggest thing about Stevens has been, the regrowth of sports. You talked about it coming back in the mid '90s, and it is difficult to reestablish your sports footing, as it were, as a college or a university when you've been out of the game for such a long period of time, and so that curve is a lot steeper. But I think the one thing that has impressed me over the time, especially in the last probably 5 to 7 years, has been you watch Stevens College and they're getting better little by little. But the one thing that I've always noticed is they're going out there and they're going to give it their all. So, we call it the roll out the helmet, roll out the ball, and you're going to pick up the win.
Yeah.
There are those cases, but I don't think Stevens is at a point where anybody can take them lightly, because there's going to be those days, but they never quit. They're always out there competing. And if nothing else, you build on that as a coach and you go, listen, I've got these ladies out here and they are competing their rear ends off out here. I want you to be a part of that. And I want you to be the next step, because we've got to take steps. And every year there's a little bit more improvement, a little bit more improvement. And to your point, it's going to take a little bit, but Stevens has always been one of those programs that's been impressive in the fact that they don't go out there, they don't quit. They're going to compete every single night.
You had the opportunity to speak with first-year director of athletics Miguel Paredes a few weeks ago, especially as the COVID-19 pandemic was shutting everything down. What did you sense from him in his excitement for the program and some of the ideas and vision that you think that is going to be on the horizon?
I think the vision is going to be, let's make what we have better. We've got the foundation. Now, how do you add to that? How do you build that first floor? How do you add all the bells and whistles to what you've got going? The excitement level is, as I think a lot about what I talked about in the previous answer, Nick. He sees a lot of enthusiasm from the coaches. He sees the enthusiasm from the athletes, and now it's harnessed that into the wins. And yeah, in the end of the day, you're judged on wins and losses. Understand that. But the other aspect of this is, how do you make the student athlete a better person at the end of the day? And I think what Miguel seemed to be really excited about was they're making better people at the end of the day. And when you're doing that, the wins and losses begin to arrive.
Stevens also has a lot to sell with its academics, and in the town that we reside in, we have the #3 theater program in the country. We have one of the top fashion marketing programs in the world. We have produced a slew of people working in media and on camera, whether it's in TV, film, in newsrooms. Columbia itself ranks #1 in the state in Business Insider, #6 in the nation in livability. So there are a lot of good things for student athletes when they come to Stevens that they'll get to experience, not only from the experience that they have, playing for us, but in what they get to experience every day on campus and in the community. And so, again, like you said, you've been here longer than I am. Talk about what those experiences have been like and the responses you've had from people that play collegiate sports in this area.
Well, I think, whether it's been Stevens College or Columbia College, University of Missouri, the big thing has always been, this is such a great experiential community. There's a ton out there you can experience. It's incredibly diverse, and you come out of it on the other end, and that's what's been so much fun living here. You come out of this on the other end going, man, that was an education outside of what I paid for. This was all like the coupon stuff. You get to experience different foods. You get to experience different events. You get to experience the True False Film Festival. And, you end up with a lot of people from Stevens that are coming back to the community because they've gone on to bigger and better things. I can remember back when the Children's Miracle Network had Dawn Wells coming back, Stevens College alum. You know, that was a big thing, and that tradition keeps returning, and that's one of the big pulls for Stevens is there's such a big tradition of bringing people back. They return back to the community that they got their education from, and they're willing to give back, and that's the really cool takeaway message at the end of all of this. And that's probably one of the reasons why Miguel is so excited about it, making better people at the end, because those better people at the end, they come back and they give back to Stevens College.
And, you know, a program that doesn't always get a lot of media coverage, but has been very successful for us, and especially in the last 4 years, is our competitive dance program. Back-to-back years in 2016 and 17, we went to the national championship. We finished 9th in 2017. Coach Amanda Roberts, in her 3rd year this past season, had them looking to make another trip to the national championship, ended up finishing 3rd in the Southeast qualifier down in Alabama, to, you know, coming up as runner-up to 2 teams that were 2 of the top 5 in the country. What have you seen from that program just on a local level, whether it's high school or college, that you think has impressed you?
It goes back to the larger scope of things of what Stevens College is trying to do, and that is, you know, we've got something for you, and we've got something that can enhance your educational experience. You know, just the mere fact that you can run a program at that top flight level on such a consistent basis, you know, it says a lot about the determination and the ability and the level of competition that those ladies are bringing every single day.
During your 3 decades working in the professional levels of sports journalism, the evolution of coverage of women's sports has obviously progressed. What have you seen in that field, both locally and nationally, and how do you approach it on a daily basis?
On a daily basis, we try to be fair about it. I mean, it's not one of those aspects where I make the differentiation between whether I'm talking to a male or a female. I'm looking for solid information, and you know, to that point on the show, we've had different guests talking about, you know, their experience as they have gone through the rungs of the ladder. Probably the best example has been Laura Oakman with Fox Sports. She's a sideline reporter for their NFL coverage. She also does the radio end with Westwood One, and she's got a great program for women who want to get into sports reporting, and it's called Galvanize, and it's GAL Vanize, and it's a tremendous program. And I usually try to have her on as a guest once or twice a year, just to talk about the changes, because it has gotten to the point where it doesn't matter whether you're male or female. Can you provide good information?
Yeah.
Can you give me the story that's going to give me the hook? And I think as far as a network is concerned, look at what ESPN has done as far as making sure that women are out there at the forefront. Doris Burke is one of the best examples out there. Holly Rowe, who came to town earlier this year, you know, another great example of, you know, it's not, to go back to where things were probably 15 or 20 years ago, it's not what you look like on the sideline anymore. It is, can you provide the information? Does the viewer, does the listener appreciate what you have to bring? And you know, I've had many women on this program, and I find the information is not any different. In fact, sometimes it's a little bit better because their perspective is different. But the other part of it is, it's a great change of voice between a bunch of guys chopping it up, and you throw a woman in there, and all of a sudden she's like, "Hey, do you understand this point?" And they can bring a completely different perspective that I find really fun and really challenging to the way we normally would look at a sport.
Yeah, so one of the women's sports that you have been involved with for some time is you're the play-by-play voice for Mizzou women's swimming and dive team, in addition to the men. But how did you get involved in that, and what has your interaction and experience been like with their ladies over the years?
Oh man, my daughter, my oldest daughter, swam for Columbia Swim Club. Got a scholarship for Limestone College. This is back probably 12 years now. Actually, they I think they got rid of their swimming diving program swimming program not too long ago. But they were looking for an announcer to handle one of their weekend meets, and I was volunteered. Since then, I do meets across the country. You're dealing with a high level athlete, and you can get a lot of perspective on life from dealing with that.
In addition to your daughter being on a swim club growing up, what other sports did she take part in? And what was your interaction like, being a girl dad? Since you work in sports, were you more heavily involved in coaching, or do you try to just kind of sit back and be a fan just like any of the other parents?
Tried to be the fan. I mean, it's one of two daughters I had. She was my oldest daughter she swam. That's what she did. She swam and she does triathlons. And I don't do the coach. We pay coaches to coach. I let them coach. Try to be the fan and go from there. But in general, I've let them do what they wanted to do. My only thing with either one of my daughters as they were growing up was, listen, I don't care what you do, just have a plan.
Yeah.
What's your plan? Well, I want to do this. Oh, great. What's the end game here? What's the goal? Because I think it helps both of us, helps them to have focus on the goal, and it helps me to understand at the end that hey, this is where they want to be. How can I, without getting in the way, help them get there?
What are some of their passions, and do you see them ever following in dad's footsteps, being on the radio or being in front of a camera, working in a sports medium in any capacity?
Probably neither one of them. The oldest one has graduated several different times. One, she's certified athletic trainer, and she's also certified athletic trainer. She's a paramedic. She's an EMT, and she's actually going to Stevens College right now in the PA program.
Okay.
So she's run through the gamut. And my youngest daughter is going to be, if anything, behind the camera as opposed to in front of it, because she got her degree from Lindenwood University as a stage manager.